Yo, check it. 11 squared plus 1 is 122. Arithmetic, yo dick. Yo, it's your boy Doofy back in the terminal third of my man Faye Feezy's The Dungeon. Let's go, hallway. Time to get turned. It's arrow time. Oh, I can't keep that up. Alright, I'm sorry. I'm trying to attract a younger audience. Am I doing it right? I sometimes watch fighting game tournaments. It seems like every announcer for every fighting game or commentator has to speak in some kind of youthful ebonics. I guess that's the way. Oh, I gotta be careful. I don't want to curse my precious. Seems like that's the language that kids speak now. I'm hopelessly out of the loop. Even that slang's probably about 10 years out of date. But welcome back, hey! Welcome back, Mr. Skull Demon. At this point, I'm just going to postpone everyone. Wow. Until I run out of postpones. I still have a few postpones left. But once I start getting a little low on postpones, I'm going to break up with my precious. Hopefully I'll find an extraction scroll before I have to do that. And then I can save my precious for later dungeons after this one. This episode, I'm just going to continue to play super safe, kind of in an automatic style. And I want to get to the topic quickly. I don't want to spend 2/3 of the episode vlogging, as has been the case for the past couple episodes. Ugh, look how boring this general ant is. Such a wasted opportunity for a monster. It makes me angry every time I fight one of those, because it's just so incredibly boring. Even you, Powdered Up Snaky, are slightly more threatening than a general ant. At least you do a lot of damage. Ugh. This episode, I've been thinking a lot lately about the different types of gamers and what camera angles they prefer, or if, perhaps more accurately, what the different camera angles have to offer different types of gamers. So this episode, I want to concentrate on killers who are competitive gamers. If you think for a moment about highly competitive games, oh, I need to slow down. I don't want to step on a horrible trap while I'm talking. Killers are unique in that they don't really seem to prefer any particular camera angle. You can think of examples of highly competitive games that have almost every camera angle. Certainly first-person shooters are very competitive. There are games like strategy games like StarCraft, highly competitive. There are third-person games that are very competitive, like Street Fighter V and Tekken, Tournament, and all Smash Brothers. All the various fighting games are all third-person. So, competitive people, as long as they're able to establish a hierarchy and win over others, they don't really care about the format of the particular game. They care more about finding mechanics that allow them to dominate others. One of the main reasons I'm making this remake a simultaneous multiplayer game, remember there's 4 players that eventually meet up during the course of a dungeon, is to give killers an opportunity to compete and win and dominate other gamers. So I feel like that's an important thing that's missing from Shiren. Although, Shiren 5 Plus does have cooperative play. I believe there's you can have 2 people playing, and I believe there's one-on-one play too, if I remember correctly. Yeah, there is, because I've seen the little arena where 2 Shirens face off. I don't know, that feels like it would be kind of herky-jerky and janky in a turn-based game. I'm curious to see how it turns out. But as they are now, roguelikes don't really attract killers that much. So we're going to change that mainly through the mechanics of the game. But we also want to think a little bit about camera angles, because that's what we're talking about. So a first-person camera angle is appealing to a killer because it allows them to identify with the character and feel that they are actually participating in the action. But you'll notice that in a lot of first-person games, when you do some kind of kill move, like there's some kind of elaborate attack, close-up attack, a melee attack, a lot of times the camera will pull back into third person to show the character actually performing the move. Or at least you'll see more of the body of the character in order to show this move. Alright, I gotta be careful here. I don't want to just switch with this Skull Demon. I think I'm just going to weaken it, and then I should be able to take it out. Oh, no more charges. Should be able to take it out here. All right. See my Razor Wind Meld coming in handy a little bit there. 69. Yeah, those elaborate melee attack animations, or the elaborate animations that happen, say, in a fighting game when you do a super move, those serve as kind of a reward to killers. You know, they get to sort of relax and watch themselves, or the character they're controlling, beat down the other character for a couple seconds. I personally don't like that. Some games for more advanced players have like a custom combo system, or some kind of long attack that's more involved, that involves a lot more fine control. Hey, found a Scroll of Blessing. I'm just gonna use it on my Enerdrain arm, man. The chances, too lazy to take out my Cursed Revival Herb, and I paid the price. That might come back and haunt me. But yeah, I really don't like long canned third-person kill animations. But I have to acknowledge that killers seem to like that. So that'll be important to keep in mind when we bring the camera in close. I don't know, I guess when a boss is defeated, maybe? I'll have to think about that. That has always been one of my pet peeves in fighting games, those sort of long super animations. I wish there was something that the character or the player getting beaten down could do to reduce the damage or make it interactive somehow. Let's move on to low third person. What? Apparently I have another scroll to ID. I thought I had them all by now. But yeah, what does a low third person game like Resident Evil 4 or Gears of War have to offer a killer? That, I think, is appealing to killers because it always allows your character... For some reason, killers seem to enjoy watching their character attack or dominate the other character from an external perspective, just as in the long, drawn-out melee animation. Now, of course, in Gears of War, it's third person for practical reasons, as Clifford the Giant Blazinski, I forgot what his name is, but as the developer of Gears of War has said, he made the characters big and chunky on purpose because he's trying to define a new genre, the cover-based shooter. And I respect Gears of War for inventing a totally new type of shooting mechanic, or maybe not inventing it, but refining it. Look at that. That was a pro move right there. I stood on the stairs so that Skull Demon wouldn't block them when I postponed him. But I think, in addition to just being practical, in a cover-based shooter, you want to see your character actually take cover, see which parts of his or her body is sticking out. That killers, they need to see their character strong and another character weak or in pain or getting beaten in order to feel satisfaction. They want that sense. Like, even in some first-person shooters, the camera will pull back to like third person for a little while to show the character that beat you kind of like running around near your body and teabagging you or whatever. That, it brings some kind of satisfaction to killers, I think. At least it seems to me. Again, I am not primarily a killer. I'm certainly competitive in some cases, but that's not usually my most dominant aspect. So I do think third-person perspective has something to offer killers, because it allows them to see their own character as strong in relation to another character. In first person, they get that sense of immersion, but they don't really see the comparison between themselves and the other character clearly. And when we talk about achievers, we'll talk about this as well. And then finally, high, middle, and high third person. I think killers really only appreciate those perspectives if it gives them sort of a tactical advantage or a strategic advantage in the game, allows them to win. But as far as emotionally, I think that's the least appealing perspective for a killer. Like, if they're fighting a boss and the camera zooms way back because the boss is huge and you're tiny, I think that is not satisfying for a killer, because it shows how weak they are and insignificant in comparison to the boss. If you think of a boss fight in something like God of War or even Zelda, usually the perspective zooms in during the killing blow. Again, long drawn out melee killing animation. in order to satisfy the needs of a killer, a really competitive player. And then finally, the extremely pulled back perspective, which is like a god mode strategy game, like Populous or Warcraft or Starcraft, or all the arena-based League of Legends and Dota and all those games. Those games have the very pulled back third-person perspective. Certainly a lot of those games are highly competitive. I feel as though it's another case of the perspective offering the most information. You know, it's just kind of a practical consideration. And in a game like StarCraft, it gives the killer a sense of being like a deity, like being a god. You know, you can command all these little peons. So you, as a person, feel like above all of the characters on the screen. That feeling of control would appeal to a killer. Alright, those are my thoughts on killers and camera angles. I'm gonna go ahead and see what this mystery scroll is. Silence! Don't mind if I do. Next week I will upload the feminism episode of the Deep Scroll Cave Run. Ooh, that one's kind of weird. And next episode this run, I'll talk about camera angles and achievers. Chill to the next episode! Do kids still say that? No? Okay, bye! Back in the day on the old road of Cedar, I saw an NPC and thought I'd like to meet her. It was me, Doofy Doo, and you, my Pants Weasel. The lines were relaxing, but the method was lethal. Pants Weasel, you remember her routine? She made me feel special, then blinded me. And when I woke up, something was missing. That girl stole my heart. And also a kidney.
Let's go, hallway. Time to get turned.